Welcome to the Black Column Podcast. I'm your host, Jabia, aka the Crew Philosopher. I'm here with my co-host, Shannon. We have to give you a nickname one of these
Hi.
days.
Hello. Hi. I'm going to introduce myself. Hi, I'm Shannon. What's up?
Wait, why?
Because you always do it, and I was just like, I want to do it. So
Okay, all right, fair enough. We are here for a special episode.
Yes.
We are going to be discussing, and I'm assuming breaking down Lovecraft Country.
Breaking down, yes, to the best of my ability. Yeah. Yes. I just
Okay.
wanted to talk about it as a whole because I think the show is super interesting. And also, it has to be talked about based on what other things that we talked about. Other things that we talk about in the show, we have to also talk about this because I feel like it's all related.
I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for the audience out there, it has to be noted, I caught onto this show like in the last 2 weeks. So
I told him to. That's why.
Yes. So Shannon told me to watch it. I've seen people talking about it. You know, when I was in my HBO app, I would see Lovecraft Country. It looked stupid, so I would go buy it, and it did. It did like a black Harry Potter's, and I was
But
like,
it's not like a black Harry Potter at all, really.
no, there's no way. And I thought about this. There will be no way for me to accurately describe this show to anybody else outside of
Nope.
You just got to watch it.
Yep.
It's so hard to describe. So
they did a. Sorry, I was gonna say Issa Rae did a SNL skit where they were talking where like she was trying to describe it to somebody and it was very accurate. There's just no way.
Yeah, no way to describe it. So I watched pretty much every episode within the last 2 weeks. Shannon has been watching this since they first came out, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so just putting it out there because I think maybe binging might paint your overall perspective on the series than if you watched it since the beginning. Because I've seen some people say that it's a good show, but it wasn't worth the hype. Right now, I find the show to be like a extremely breathtaking show, but I binged it. I did the same thing with Game of Thrones. Like I binged like the first three seasons, and I think that does paint your perspective a little bit instead of if you watched it, one episode at a time for like a span of months.
Like I said, I watched it one episode at a time, and I thought it was pretty good. It's just the type of thing where it's like if you're not paying attention, you're definitely gonna miss a lot of things. And I feel like if you miss those things, maybe you won't think the show is that great. Yeah.
You can't watch this show while you like cook or while you have to sit down and watch it. And
like
listen.
Most HBO shows, you have to be dialed in.
The lore is extremely important to the story. Otherwise, it looks like a bunch of just random ass old historical events and magic.
Just all jumbled together, completely confusing.
So I'm gonna let Shannon guide this conversation because I have no idea what she wants to talk about, how she wants to talk about this. Are we going episode by episode? Do you want to give like overall thoughts on the entire show? Where do you want to start, Shannon?
That's a good idea. I didn't really give much thought to the structure of this episode. And maybe I should have, but like the show just kind of ended. I was caught off guard completely because I didn't realize that this past week was the season finale, and I was like, oh shoot. I didn't really, it snuck up on me faster than I thought. So what is the most effective way to talk about this? I don't think we should go episode by episode.
Me neither. We should talk about our overall impression of the show first. And then from there, I guess go into like specific scenes or takeaways that we have that left an impact on us, things we feel like should be expounded upon. I think we should go there, like, big picture, and then go to like smaller picture. Would you like for me to start, or you want to go first?
I agree. I just want to touch on a point really quickly. A couple of episodes ago, or like last episode, you said that you agreed that the show was exploitive. So I just want to ask you again if you feel that way still. You did. You said, well, you read somebody's tweet, and you said that the tweet said that it was expletive.
Yes. So
and
the
you
tweet
kind of agreed. Yes.
No, I did not agree with that statement.
You did.
No, I did not. I said there was a tweet. No, I asked you that. I said, Shannon, there was an interesting tweet about how this black woman said she felt like Lovecraft Country was kind of exploiting these historical black events, for entertainment purposes, adding this magic and stuff. Do you agree? I never said how I felt about it.
You did say that you agreed. You said it is expletive.
I did?
Yeah, because I said that I didn't think it was expletive, and you said it definitely is. That's what you said.
But okay, so it might be exploiting past historical events, but I feel like you can do that if there's like a purpose behind it.
Yes.
So if they were just going through these historical Black events just for the sake of the story, I would feel a little bit side-eyeing it a little bit. But I felt like each time they went back to a historical event, there was obviously the story plot, but there was also like this deeper meaning behind what they were trying to convey, what they were trying to say in a bigger societal perspective. And so viewing it through that lens, I don't think they should be maligned for bringing up these things. Now I will say it did hit closest to home with the Emmett Till stuff.
Yes, it did. And I just want to add, there's literally meaning in literally every point of the show. I was going through some breakdown videos today, and it's stuff that you'll definitely miss if you're not a genius or historical genius. But
it's not that. It's just that me and you don't do this for a living. People that do breakdowns and stuff, they do this as their like job. So like they watch it one time and then they rewatch it again with a notepad and a pen or and they're looking for certain stuff. We're just watching this from like an entertainment purpose. If we had like an actual Lovecraft, country podcast or something like that, then we will be watching it like twice, looking deep,
3
trying
times.
to find. But no, we're not doing that.
But it's literally everything, like from the pictures on the wall when they first went to the Artem Mansion, just like everything. There's just like stuff. There's meaning, literally vomited all over the place. But yeah, like I said, I agree with you. I believe that it is expletive, but not in an offensive way. And I actually think that more white people should watch the show if they don't already, because I think you'll learn a lot from it too, from the historical parts, not the magic parts.
Yes, just one quick correction. Shannon keeps saying expletive. She means exploitative.
Exploitative. Sorry. Wow, another episode where I sound stupid. Exploitative.
Yeah, that's what she means. I want to clear it up. He said it like 3 times. I'm like, Shannon, it's not expletive.
Why didn't you correct me the first time I said it?
I thought he's gonna fix it eventually.
Oh my god.
No.
Okay, sorry guys. It's been a long day.
Yeah, she's fine. She's fine.
I'm fine. What was I saying? Okay, yes. You'll actually learn a lot from it. And I learned a lot from it as well. Just like right off the bat in the first episode, sundown counties. I didn't know that was a thing, and I know that a lot of people didn't know that was a thing either.
Yeah, I know about that. My mother told me about those towns, especially in the South, where if you were out after the sun went down, pretty much, the law enforcement had license to hang you, arrest you, kill you, and they would call sundown towns. So it wasn't like they were hiding it. Everyone knew who was Black. You do not need to be out there once the sun went down. It's part of the reason why, to this day, I'm shocked at how many Black people stayed in the South once, the Black migration up north happened. Yeah.
And it's really scary to learn that this was a real thing that, people enforce on people. So I definitely think that that's a learning moment, because again, I didn't know that was a thing. And I know that I don't think that that's something they teach in school. Also,
hell no.
Exactly. Also, did we learn about the Tulsa massacre in school? I don't remember learning about that.
Now, here's the thing. I learned about Tulsa, once I graduated high school, like from my parents and reading books, but I never learned it in high school.
That's what I was trying to remember. Like, I learned about it on my own accord, but I was trying to remember if we learned about it in school. And that's definitely not something that we learned. So I know for a fact that there is a large group of people out there that didn't know that this was a thing. So, like I said, I appreciate the show for bringing these things, for putting these things on a platform that people are going to consume it and learn about the past and learn about all the atrocities that, white people have done. Anyway.
Tulsa was also in Watchmen. And
yes, it was.
But people didn't know that was a real thing.
Yeah.
They thought it was part of like, the imaginative world. And I was like, no. This was a real event that happened. It sounds so preposterous to us today that, there was this great Black town of Black wealth, more wealthy than the white towns around it. And these white dudes came and just burned everything down, got into plain carpet bombing. It sounds insane that in the United States of America, civilians were allowed to get into planes and drop bombs on a black town. It sounds insane. All of that happened, people. All of it. Go ahead.
I lost my train of thought. You go ahead. Pick up a thought.
All right. Well, I think we said we're willing to give our overall thoughts on the series. Here's my takeaway. I thought this was a very, very interesting show, right? Now, interesting is a lazy word to use when describing something because people can't tell whether you think the show is good or you think it's bad. I thought the show was a good show. I enjoyed the storytelling. I enjoyed the characters. Now, I'm going to get hate for this. I don't know if I cared too much for the actual plot of the show.
Really? Okay.
It did nothing for me. Like,
okay,
I was more fascinated with the characters, more fascinated with kind of the what I call the other meanings in the show. You know, like parts where Big Mama, what's her name? Big Mama. You know what I'm talking about, Shannon? Big Mama, Big Mama, Ruby.
Ruby. Okay, yeah. How was I supposed to know that's who you're talking about? Whoa, Jabia.
so you know, like the parts of the show where Ruby, where she uses the magic potion or elixir or whatever to turn to a white woman.
That was one of my favorite episodes. I found that episode to be so fascinating. I was just like, okay, go ahead.
No, same here. But the commentary where she talks about what it's like to be in a white woman's skin and being respected and not being tired of the daily life of being a black woman. I found that stuff more interesting than I did the actual plot as far as the magic and all of that stuff. So that was my first takeaway. Second takeaway, though, I did feel like some of the politics in the show was a little bit heavy-handed, right?
Like what? Okay, go ahead.
For example, when trying to think of one. Okay, so do you remember when Tick went and followed Christina into, I think it was a barbershop or something, with he had the gun in his hand and he tried to kill her, and she made it a point to say, "Come on now, Tick, you just can't be out here killing random white women."
I didn't remember that she said that part.
You don't remember that part?
You're saying it again. No, not specifically. I don't remember her saying that because, like I said, some of it is a blur. But yes.
Yeah, it felt like sometimes they purposely injected the politics into the dialogue instead of just writing good dialogue that conveyed the politics that you could read for yourself. And I feel like sometimes it took me out of the show because I was like, you can tell like a writer wrote that in there to push some type of point through. I felt that at times watching Watchmen as well, and it made me enjoy the show a little bit less. So that's my only complaint about the show. But other than that, I thought it was like a really good show. And like I said, the cultural commentary, the social commentary in the show, I found to be interesting, a lot more interesting than the show. But
I enjoy. Are you not a fan of science fiction and fantasy?
Here's the thing: science fiction and sci-fi is hit or miss for me. I love Harry Potter. I love Game of Thrones. One of my favorite books growing up reading was Animorphs. But then every now and then it's like some sci-fi stuff that'll be on TV that I'm supposed to like, and I'm like, this stinks. Right? So the magic wasn't bad, but Shannon, be honest, they could have told this story with no magic, and you probably would have enjoyed it more if it was just like. But
what would it have been about?
I don't know, like maybe. Okay, so let's remove the magic. We have a black man in Tick who is the great grandchild of a black slave who was impregnated by her slave master. These are all real things that have happened, right? So you could have made a show, Shannon, about Tick was blood relatives to some estate of some white man years ago, and he's trying to reclaim what is naturally his, right? And you have Christina, who is trying to keep Tick out of cashing in on the family riches. Some crazy story like that. It's a lot more ordinary and human, and you get the same cultural commentary that you have. Now, I will say this: you don't get the insane scenes with a Big Mama.
Stop calling her that.
Hold on, what's her name? Ruby.
Ruby.
Yeah, you don't get these insane scenes where Ruby transforms into a white woman, and she has sex with a white man who is a white woman. Right? You don't get those, but I don't know. But go ahead.
I mean, I understand your point. I enjoyed the fantasy element of it, but we have to remember that this is also based off of a book. Yeah. So, there's that. So that is what it had to be. And again, I just find the whole premise of the show, I just find it interesting because, so the book was written by Matt Ruff, and it basically, it was this. So, which I didn't realize that at the time. I thought it was just based off of like H.P. Lovecraft's writings, and then Jordan Peele and J.J. Abrams, they just took it and infused it with all this other stuff. But that's actually what the book is actually about, like this show. So I didn't know that. But I just think it's crazy how H.P. Lovecraft was a known white supremacist, and we're able to just take his work and infuse it with these messages of social justice. I just think the whole thing is, the whole mixture is fascinating.
I didn't know that about him.
Yeah, he is the racist. Big,
he wrote Lovecraft?
No. So H.P. Lovecraft, he was an author that wrote all these like crazy fantasy, like horror, science fiction works. And then so Lovecraft Country was Matt Ruff taking premises, like taking ideas and his stories basically
flipping them.
And just like combining it with social commentary basically. So that's what that's what Lovecraft Country is about, based off of H.P. Lovecraft, who wrote other works. But H.P. Lovecraft was a racist, known white supremacist. See,
now I'm fascinated to read his stuff. Like, historically speaking, the worst people wrote the most fascinating things. Like, I'm serious. It's insane when you think about how like people who are Nazis and white supremacists or like really despicable, and then you read their work, you're like, this is some like transformative stuff, because I'm always fascinated about people that can write science fiction, because the place that your mind has to go, where you have to write something that is where the reader can suspend their disbelief.
Yeah.
But also, like you set up rules within your own world that the characters have to follow, and so it makes sense for the reader. Otherwise, you just have a bunch of random, craziness going on. Okay, so me and you both enjoy the show. Now, I already lit out my criticism. Did you have any criticisms, or did you love the show for what it is? What?
I love the show for what it was. I can kind of agree with you about the heavy-handed social commentary and the kind of like forced into the dialogue. I can agree with you on that. But other than that, I thought the show was great. I'm trying to think of, I just think that sometimes it was a little like drastic of a change. And I guess that's me going from week to week watching it. So like the episode where we went into
I agree with you 100%.
I'm sorry. I don't forget.
Asian Mama.
Oh my God. Yes, Jabia, that's what I'm talking about.
Her name is Gia.
Okay, yes. So going from her backstory episode, which I really enjoyed that episode.
One of my favorites, hands down.
Yeah, that was a really, really good episode. Just because, and like, I agree with what you said. Just because that episode was easy to understand, and like, I wasn't confused at any point. Like, it was very straightforward and to the point. Yes. So going from that episode, and I was very much looking forward to the episode after that. But then the episode after that,
nothing to do with it.
Nothing to do with it at all. It was Hippolyta. She got sucked through the portal and was going through all of these different. And I was just like, this is so different from what I watched last week. And like, I don't really know what's going on. So just like the drastic turns it takes from episode to episode. And again, I don't know if it affects me more because I watched it week to week rather than if you're binging it.
I binged it.
But
so from a binger, here's what I will say. I have no idea if the historical events used in the show were in like chronological order. I'm assuming they were, but I have no idea if they are.
I think so.
Right? Like I have not, like for example, I think it was episode 2 or 3, the story about the the abandoned house that light skinned mama buys.
Letty
buys. Letty buys. That was a real thing that happened.
It was, yes.
So you're saying that you're saying that happened before the Emmett Till stuff? Because I have no idea.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure. I didn't check the timeline on these things, so I don't.
Yeah, me neither.
I don't know.
I'm assuming that they went in chronological order. I believe. So that was interesting. But to your point, it kind of jumped from like totally different from this week to next week to the week after that. So as a binger, it was exciting more than confusing because it was like being stimulated.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, I guess it's definitely different as a binger because if you watch week to week, you waited all week for the next episode and then you get something that you weren't expecting. So it's just kind of like, ugh. But yeah, and it does move very fast. So from episode 2 to episode 3, I remember I had to watch episode 2 like 3 times before I actually was able to pay attention to the whole thing.
So much the house?
That's the one where they went to Artem, basically in the mansion. Yeah, that whole
mansion
thing.
one, yes.
That whole episode was like a movie.
It was very confusing.
So many things happened. So much happened in that episode, and I had to watch it over so many times because my focus kept drifting off, and then you come back and you're just like, what? You don't know what happened. But I remember when I watched that episode, and then when I saw the preview for the next episode, I was just like, the preview looked so different because they were back home and it was basically I was like, is this show like a whole bunch of different mini stories? Like I thought it was over because it was like a whole movie.
But it was though, kind of. It was like mini stories within like this long, overarching plot. And it weaves in because each week they focus on a different character, right? So one week it's Tick, another week it's Leti, whatever. It's Leti. Another week it's Ruby.
Mm-hmm.
Another week it's Montrose, Hippolyta. So Diane. It goes from character to character, and it focuses more on one person than it does the rest of the cast, and that's how they're able to tell these different stories. Same overarching theme because the last episode they kind of tie all of these knots together. Literally, they all get in the exact same car, so they're literally in one car driving to the end of this of this plot. But great storytelling. Can't disagree with you there. Great storytelling.
And I like I said before, I appreciate the show for all the historical references and context that it weaves in. Like I said, like you said also, I also the Emmett Till integrating Emmett Till into there also hit me kind of hard, and I also thought it was really good how they did that as well. I was really surprised because I didn't realize. I don't know if you realized like when we first saw him. If like, did you realize that it was supposed to be Emmett Till in the first episode where they're on the Ouija board? Yeah. So I missed that also. I don't think. When did I even find it? I feel like.
Wait a minute. So hold on. Let me get this girl's name right.
Diane.
So Diana knew Emmett Till.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
See, I didn't know that. I thought she was just crying because somebody her age had died.
No. So he was in the show a couple of times with her. So they were in that when Leti had that party at the house. He was there when they were playing with the Ouija board, which is why. So that was supposed to be him. So when they asked the Ouija board if, like, he had mentioned that he was going on a trip, and they asked the Ouija board if he was going to have a good trip, and the Ouija board said no, because that's referencing like
he was right.
Yeah, that's referencing like when he was lynched when he went to Mississippi.
Damn, that's messed up. Okay, so all right. So question. Now let's get more specific. If you had to name a scene that stood out to you the most in this show, what would it be, and why? Because I got mine.
You have yours? Oh,
absolutely. You already know what's going to be.
The scene that stood out the most to me, I think, is when Leti is walking through the fire,
holding the book of names
in the middle of the Tulsa massacre, like when she's walking back to the portal with the book.
Yes.
Like basically like in the middle of all the destruction. I think that stood out to me the most.
She was the most useless character in the show, Shannon.
No, she was not.
In my opinion, she had the least interesting backstory. just humor me. So Tick is the main character, so he doesn't need to be explained. Tick's father is interesting. You had a man back in that time who was homosexual, who, because of his sexuality, his father would beat on him. Mm-hmm. And if he saw any hint of quote unquote gayness in Tick, he would, use the switch, use the belt on Tick because he was ashamed of his own sexuality. Mm-hmm. Interesting character. Ruby, Big Mama. You had a big black woman at that time, super talented, often had to pick up the slack from her sister. She was the darker one, and you know how that was back then. Mm-hmm. Being the dark sister, and your sister's the light one. And so you had the colorist angle that, I thought the show did a great job about that, where it didn't really highlight her being that much darker than her sister, but you can tell by the way the world interacted with Ruby versus the way versus the way it interacted with her sister, that there was some colorism at play as well. So that made her interesting. And then also the trans race, she had a trans race / gender transition to sleep with somebody who had a transgender transition as well. I mean, that's interesting. Shannon, be honest.
I just thought that Leti was kind of
nothing interesting about her. Be honest.
I mean, in terms of her backstory, yes, there's not a lot going on, but I thought that she was the bravest one probably out of all of them during this whole entire thing.
Which was whack.
Okay, cool. That's fine. I can agree with you on that. But I mean, yes, when you hold up basically what she brought to the table amongst everyone else.
Nothing.
Sure. Okay, fine.
She was Tick's light-skinned baby mama. Nobody else to say it. I'm just saying. Everyone else was more interesting. Even the girl, Diana, was more interesting than Leti.
Yes.
Way more interesting. Hippolyta was definitely more interesting than Leti. Leti was the least interesting character. She got so much screen time that started to annoy me. And I feel like they made her kind of this super, like you said, brave, strong person. But there was no reason for it. Nothing she did was exceptional. Nothing.
No, actually, she made me really mad in the last episode. But
first of all, she told I was like, you just can't follow directions.
Right. Yeah. When she told Ruby about
about the plan. Why would you do that? Why? Everybody could tell that Ruby was too deep with homegirl. She had actual feelings about the girl. So even if she did what you told her to do, she was gonna mess up or she was gonna let something slip. There was no reason to tell her, but she did it. The same. She through that entire show, that light skinned girl did everything possible to irritate the audience. Everything. No one wants to say it, but I think she's overrated.
I can agree with your argument. I can.
Now, my takeaway moment from the show that needs to be examined.
Oh, wait, really quick before you
go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
My takeaway moment had less to do with her and more to do with the scene as a whole.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, just like seeing her, because like she was invulnerable. She had the spell on her. Just seeing her walk through all the destruction and devastation, I just thought it was really like visually and powerfully.
Yeah, she was the manifestation of that Shaka Khan song. Mm-hmm. Through the fire. She was through the fire. The Tulsa thing was like, you get emotional, or at least I do, when you watch certain shows and you realize that part of the reason why I asked the question on our Monday discussion about do you think black men today are better or worse than their forefathers is that, like, look what they were able to build.
Yeah.
In the midst of everything going on. Like one of the most successful black neighborhoods ever. So much so that it wasn't even a successful black community. It was a successful community, period. A part of the reason why it got burnt to the ground was because all these whites around it were jealous as hell. And so when you just see how even amongst the oppression we were living, and then you see where we are now. I mean, it sounds crazy, but it's like as society has gotten less racist, we've kind of gotten less extraordinary. Right? Just seeing that.
Or as racist. I mean, yes, I agree that there's less racism, but I would think that the more accurate term is as racism has become more blanketed and not as apparent.
Okay, but I would have to push you on, even if it has become more blanketed, just straight up, do you think that society is as racist now as it was,
No. I agree that there's less racism, but I just think that racism is overall I just think overall it's blanketed. I don't think it's as violent or as intense as it was back then.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think, because you can have a racist society that's different than the society having power over you? What I'm saying is,
yeah. Well, that's different. Yes.
Yeah, they had actual barriers, like physical barriers that they couldn't go certain places. They couldn't be in certain neighborhoods at a certain time.
Yep.
For the most part, in America, those things have been eradicated. Look at what we've done.
Yep.
It is embarrassing compared to what our ancestors did with more obstacles. Even the scene where Tick's father, he's standing there overlooking the tragedy, talking to himself. You see things blowing up. And it must have been such a surreal feeling watching something that was like the pinnacle of Black accomplishment, Black achievement, just be absolutely ravaged and destroyed.
Yep.
Though what he really should be talking about is what is taking this light-skinned girl so long to get to this portal. Why was she walking?
Yes. So I thought that too. So aside from the fact that it was a really powerful scene, I was also saying, like, can you hurry up? Can you hurry up?
Epilata is getting her brains fried out, holding on to that machine. The homegirl just stuck.
Well, she just went through a traumatizing moment too. She basically lived through something that's very traumatic. So I mean, she's probably very bothered by it. I don't know.
And so your response to being traumatized is to walk like a supermodel with bombs going off.
She wasn't walking like a supermodel. Yes, she was walking. She was walking like she just seen some things.
She was walking like a Black Panther. In that book.
Oh my God.
My takeaway scene, I really love the Asian episode was episode 8, I think, right? Or 7.
7. Yeah. Or 6. I think it was 6.
6, whatever it was. I loved that episode. Loved the episode because you had a multi-layered conversation going on. So you had Black soldiers fighting on behalf of America.
Yep.
In the Vietnam War. Not recognized as equals in their own society.
Yep.
Coming to this country, being forced to subjugate another group of people. People forget, the reason why we consider Muhammad Ali a hero is because he refused to get drafted. And one of his reasons why, no Vietnamese person ever did anything to me.
Yeah.
They're not subjugating me. So why am I going to go over there and help you subjugate them? And he caught a lot of crap for his position and when he said it. And so when you examine that episode, Shannon, what you have is kind of like a layered conversation about who's oppressing who, right? So you have the American military taking these Black Americans that they don't respect and forcing them to go and subjugate these Vietnamese people. You have, what's this woman's name?
Gia.
Yeah. You had a Gia who is there, not even human. She's Karama, pretty much.
Yeah, basically.
She's Karama. She is, exploiting and taking advantage of these men. Well, she had to stupid with 100, right? So she got up to 99. So that means 99 dudes she brought back to that deathbed and took their lives.
Yep.
But also being a Vietnamese, I think she was Vietnamese, an Asian woman in that time where your value was mainly determined by what family you came from.
I don't think that. Wait.
Go ahead.
Wait. Sorry, no. Continue.
Not good. Is there a historical thing that I got wrong or a show thing?
I think that I'm just making sure that they weren't in. I thought Gi was Korean.
She might be. That's why I went from Vietnamese to Asian.
Wait, yes. Yeah, the Korean War. It's not the Vietnam War.
Oh, my bad. So it's the Korean
Yeah.
War. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry. But the same principles apply as far as so the Korean War. Are you sure it was the Korean War or were they in Korea?
Story begins with Black Korean War veteran Atticus
Okay,
going on a
gotcha.
journey.
Okay,
Yeah.
Fair enough. I apologize to the audience. So the Korean War, and so you had this Korean woman who based on the historical context, she's taking advantage of these men and exploiting them, but also because of who she is and the society that she is, as far as being a young woman, her value in that society is pretty much predicated on two things: either A, what family you come from.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you hear a lot in Asian cultures that your last name is more important than your first name.
Yes.
And also who you are married to. That's where you get the scene where they're on like this big speed dating thing, and she's trying to, you know, impress these men. And she's scaring them all
about
the
that
way.
part. Yeah,
scaring them all the way. And so just seeing these various groups interact with each other, none more powerful than the other one. You know, I don't think Tick was more empowered than she was, even as Tick was an agent of the American military structure.
Yep.
You know, that scene where they have all these Asian women lined up looking for communists, and those two black dudes were the ones responsible for shooting those women. Right. And so when she was so angry because her best friend was killed and she plans on killing him, and then the two of them begin to have conversations, they begin to once they were able to separate themselves, Shannon, from the positions that society put them into, they were able to, you know, fall in love with each other. And I thought it was a really, really interesting, you know, social commentary about how we aren't what these people say we are. When I use the word these people, I mean whoever they are, whether it's your mother, whether it's, you know, your country, whether it's you are more than your labels. At the end of the day, we are all human beings, and that's where Tick and Gia was able to connect, because they were both human. In fact, she told him, we don't have to be what they want us to be. You know, Tick said he joined. This was insane. He joined the army to get away from his father.
Yeah.
Insane. But it goes to show you how bad he must have thought his life was with his father.
Yeah.
And then, you know, Gia dealing with her mother, who summoned her to this world. For some, I forgot what was the reason why.
I can't remember off the top of my head.
Oh, I forgot one part about this. Karama, who took over that girl's body.
Karama. Yeah.
Her father was molesting her.
See, these are details that
you don't remember that?
No, because again, it was that I watched that episode like last month. I didn't really get a chance. It's all fresh in your head because you just watched it.
Yeah, there was an entire like, you know, moment between Gia and her mother, and the fox spirit is able to recall the memories of all of the people that she devours.
Yes.
And so it was this weird, creepy commentary about how, you know, the girl was molested by her father, but when Karama, you know, did that thing, she could tell that the father loved her. And the mother was saying, that's an inappropriate love, what he did to you.
Okay.
It was, you know, it was very interesting to watch. I was like, this is some risky dialogue, calling, you know, parental, I guess, pedophilia, a inappropriate kind of love. But it was a phenomenal scene. But just watching, I was like, this is deep. But that was my favorite episode for those reasons. And I was able to get this social commentary without them jamming it down my throat.
Yeah. I want to rewatch. Now you're making me want to rewatch the whole thing again. I feel like maybe I'll have a different experience when I binge it.
Well, binging it is phenomenal.
Yeah. I definitely want to. I want to binge it. I think I'm going to watch it again.
So that was one theme. Yep. Another theme, Shannon, was the episode right after it, I believe.
That was the episode.
That was the Hippolyta one?
The Hippolyta episode. Yes.
That was phenomenal.
Yes, it was good. I just thought it was a random follow-up. Not random.
It was.
Yeah.
It was, but the takeaway from that, you have this woman who I did not see her role being this important from episode
I
one.
didn't either. I
I
didn't
was
either.
stunned at how much she had to do with this story
Yep.
once, towards the end. I was like, I thought she was just George's sweet thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that was episode 8, right?
The numbers are escaping me. I think it was episode 8. No, or
7, whatever. The Help a Lot episode.
I think that was episode 7. Yeah, because there was
Fair enough. The Help a Lot episode. You have this black woman who got kind of lost in the shuffle of life.
Mm-hmm.
Right? She was used to being George's woman. She was used to being her daughter's mother, but she didn't have her own identity. And so when George died, it kind of left her without any purpose.
Yeah.
And so she goes on this journey trying to piece things together about George's death, finds this computer, ends up getting taken to this another dimension where she meets. Now, here's where things get confusing. Did she meet the future version of herself?
I don't think that's who that was.
Okay, I'm only asking because if you remember, towards the end of episode 9, where she's holding onto the wires, her hair turns blue. And that's what the woman, like I'm assuming that person was supposed to be like God, I guess, whoever she was. If you remember the final scene when Hippolyta's talking to her, she's like, she has blue hair.
Yeah.
And so I was confused because, they had the concept of time traveling. And I was like, well, was that who Hippolyta eventually becomes?
I didn't think about it that way. What I thought about is I thought that maybe like she was she was thinking about Diana and manifesting, the comic that she drew. And maybe like because she was manifesting that, her hair just turned blue. The comic book character that her daughter draws?
Yes, but I thought that was kind of her daughter. I thought that was proof that her daughter was kind of like a prophet or something.
I mean, that could also be true. So there are things that I realized watching the recaps that I didn't realize
when you was watching initially.
The show. Yeah, so but anyway, I'll let you get back to that. That's a good point, and I didn't think of it that way, and I feel like that is a logical theory that you have there.
Yeah, so that was my theory, but even if it's not true, so Hippolyta goes on this journey through different, because I was kind of confused when I first watched it. It didn't make sense once, we got to the end. But she was pretty much jumping to different herbs and also to different periods in time where she was experiencing life. I believe the first one she was Josephine Baker's backup dancer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then she was
that to being like a fierce African warrior.
Yep.
Then from there she goes to like this future Jetson thing, like Mars. Whatever that was, where she got off. George. No. This she was to George.
Right. Remember? Yes, George. Mm-hmm.
Then from George, she went to like this other realm with George.
Yeah.
And that's when they
met. Yes.
They met the female goddess character again, and then she asked to be sent back to Earth. And she was able to find herself, a different piece of herself, in each reality. So she goes to Josephine Baker, and it's black womanhood outside of America.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like over there in France, I believe, right?
Yep, Paris.
France, which is a totally different culture than America.
Yeah.
Laxer attitudes towards sexuality, including female sexuality. You saw a lot of women with no tops on, putting on performances, and no one said anything about it. Nope. Josephine Baker, who was a seductress herself, a professional seductress, and you see Hippolyta blossom into a totally different woman in that society. Yeah. Then she goes and fights as an African warrior.
Yeah.
And physically strengthens herself, becomes her own protector, her own defender. Then she has a conversation with George where they talk, and George comes to the realization that he dimmed her light so that he can do what he needed to do.
Yeah. He's holding her back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then she goes and meets the female goddess one more time. The commentary in that show, in that episode, I thought was really, really good.
Yeah. Definitely when the more that you watch that episode, the more that you basically realize. She probably had the most character development out of everyone, I think.
Oh, not even close.
Just not. What do you mean?
No, I'm saying it's not even close. I thought she was just gonna be George's, woman.
Yeah,
that's all I thought. I was disgusted the first scene that I saw them together because I don't like seeing old people have sex. So that was I don't. I don't like seeing it. I don't like seeing it. Shannon, that didn't make you uncomfortable?
No.
They made it a point to make them like middle age. I have no idea if that woman looks like that in her real life, but they made it a point to make them look like 50-ish. She's bigger. She's the same woman from that was in Ray.
That was where?
She's the same woman that was in Ray, the movie Ray Charles.
Oh, okay.
So it's the same actress, but she just looks a lot older. And so, seeing them do their thing and their daughter could hear, I was like, this is making me comfortable, making me uncomfortable as well, young girl. So you're not alone in this. But Shannon, they took her from that moment and they made her into a very, very relevant character, so much so that she creates this bionic arm for her daughter.
Who, I was watching a recap video when we see when Atticus is telling his story about how he went through the portal and then like he was pushed back through the portal by a hooded person who gave him the book with a bionic arm. We don't put that together until we see that she has a bionic arm, and then we realize that like it was probably future Diane, and it's setting it up for maybe she's like whatever she's supposed to do in the future. But you kind of piece together that was her that gave him the book and pushed him back through, based on the last episode. So I don't know if you caught that.
Yeah, she might end up being the real villain in all of this.
Yeah, I think so. But
what did Christina do to Diana?
Nothing. But it all adds up if you really think about what she's seen. So I was just gonna bring up. So your two favorite episodes then are GI's. Oh my god, I keep saying it wrong.
Asian Mama.
GI's storyline, and then Hippolyta's episode was your second favorite.
No, that was not my second favorite. I said it was my two favorites. The GI episode and the
episode with Ruby.
Yes, for different reasons, by the way.
Yeah, obviously. Okay, yeah. So I think so I was gonna name like my top three, but then I realized that it's just me probably enjoying the second half of the season a lot more than the first half. Yeah. But yeah, Ruby's episode was definitely my favorite, followed by
why?
Yes. Huh?
Why was Ruby your favorite?
Just because it was so fascinating to watch. Being learning kind of like the mindset of like what it felt like to be a Black woman back then. And just like wanting to escape your skin because you didn't feel like you belonged anywhere. You were never treated with respect, and just wanting to be on the other side of that. I just found that to be interesting to watch. Really. So was that one. I wasn't a fan though of the metamorphosis process. That was very disgusting to watch. But are you frozen or are you just looking at me?
I'm looking at you, Shannon.
Why are you looking at me like that? Because
the Ruby episode was my favorite, but not because I found the episode to be enjoyable. That was the nastiest episode I've ever seen in my life. Well,
I said I didn't enjoy the metamorphosis part. That was gross.
It was beyond gross. First of all, it starts the episode before, I think. The episode where she meets the white boy was the episode before.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it starts there where she's big Black woman. She's singing the blues. She meets this white boy at the bar. They have this awful. You had to be an awful Black person to have passionate sex with a white person in like those times, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, you were risking everything just for some ass. I can't explain it. Also, no way stair sex is comfortable. Right? Like I was like, there's no way this is comfortable. There's no way this can be comfortable. Mm-hmm. That was my second takeaway. My third takeaway, once Ruby in the next episode, when she takes this potion to become a white woman, she becomes an asshole to the black employee.
I think that she was just, that's what I thought at first. But then I thought, the part where she where she found out that she didn't graduate from high school, so she was wondering how she even got that job. That part, yes. But then when she was also explaining to her about how she can't let people see her weakness or whatever she was, I don't remember the monologue that she was delivering to her, but I then thought that that's probably just her imparting her 2 cents of why you have to work harder as a black woman in this
I
time.
agree with you on your point. The problem is though, is that black girl was not she was not in jeopardy of losing her job.
No.
At all. So she was
she was doing fine.
Yeah. She was doing fine before you got there. I think her ego, because this is where I think another part that we don't talk about, Ruby was not just a black woman. Ruby was what I call chocolate black. Right? Like she's black. No, beautiful though. Beautiful woman. But like she's the black skin that I'm jealous of, where it's so dark that it shines. She had that skin tone. And she was also big. That's a big thing. She was a big black woman. I think that tension that she had with that black employee was another layer of like the way, even within black people, depending on how you look to the world, you are further or closer from what society would deem to be acceptable. Because the other black girl, she was black too, but she was thin. She was she had a very not lesser personality, but Ruby has a lot of spunk. This other girl, she was like very quiet to herself. She did her job. She was very apologetic. Yeah, she stayed out of everybody else's way. Even her white coworkers. Ruby, on the other hand, she wasn't standing for that stuff. So when she put on the white skin, it was almost like she became a white woman in the worst ways. Yeah. So she got the best ways. She got the best results out of being a white woman, but she also began to behave like white women do in the worst ways, where you are both this victim, but you're this protected class in society, and so you act like an asshole.
I thought that she was adapting a little too well to it also. But still, it was still one of my favorite episodes.
Would you take it?
No.
You wouldn't take the potion?
You mean back in the day or now?
Would you take it now?
No. Why would I want to be a white person?
I'm saying why not? If you could be the same you and you could be, only thing that would change is you would be white. You wouldn't take the potion?
No. Why would I want to be white?
Okay, so would you take it back then?
Well, I don't know if I would take it back then because I wouldn't. I mean, maybe I would think about it depending on but I can't really relate to a black woman's experience back then, so I don't know if I would have taken
another layer to this, Shannon, was that Ruby, I think, naturally gelled more with Christina than she did with her own sister.
Wait, she what?
I think she gelled more. Like she naturally liked Christina. She did. And the white boy, before she knew that the white boy was also Christina. Like she genuinely liked him and them. Like she wasn't being, she was being tricked because they weren't who they said they were, but it wasn't like they were forcing her to spend time with them.
She made herself right at home. She started living there after having slept with him once, and then she just stayed there.
So once again, that theme of, yes, there's these racial divisions, these class divisions, but when you can remove those away, people can kind of coexist based on them being human. That was that theme as well. The most disturbing episode was the episode where she takes the potion to become a white woman just for the sole purpose of having sex with Christina, who
Are you talking about Jigga Bobo? That episode? With the twins?
Is that the one where they have sex and the flesh is coming off?
Yes.
That was disgusting, Shan. You know what? That was nasty. And it was nasty for no reason. Who does that? If Christina already knows who you are, what need do you feel to... Now, that was a powerful scene. Remember she said that she took the potion because she didn't want to be a black woman. Oh, she didn't want to feel shame for being a black woman
having
having
sex with a
sex
white
with a white
person
man
on
after
the
what
day
happened
of
to Emmett
Emmett Till.
Till.
Yes.
And then Christina hit her with, I forgot the line, but it was like
she
no.
said that you were ashamed of being a woman that wanted what she wanted or something like that.
Yeah, like when she wanted it.
Yeah.
Like, no, you were freaky. You don't care that much about Emmett Till's death. That's not why you're here. You were here because you want me, you desire me, and you took this potion so that you would feel less guilty about it. Mm-hmm. But it was all nasty. Go ahead, Shannon.
I was just gonna talk about that episode.
Nasty.
I enjoy. What did you think of that episode?
Besides
nasty. That part. Besides that part. Everything else.
So
I like that it touched on Emmett Till's funeral. I mean, I'm pretty sure that was the first time that a lot of people pieced together that was supposed to be Emmett Till, because that was really the only big clue that was who that was supposed to be if you didn't put the pieces together.
I did not like what they did with like my Black Power people.
What do you mean?
They just had him off to the side like it was crazy.
Who, the corpse? What do you mean?
So do you remember at the funeral, the first scene, they're going in and they were showing scenes of like the Black Power guy that was preaching, and I don't know. It just seems like when in all of these shows where they do like the racial stuff from history, they always make it a point to make it seem as if the Black Power people are the too far line, and I always hate that.
Interesting. I didn't really see that when I watched it.
Yeah, if you ever watch it again, it's like they have the crowd going into the funeral, and then off to the side is the Black Power people, and the white police officers are interacting with them, and they're going back and forth.
Interesting. I have to watch that part again because I think I missed that.
Yeah.
But what was I trying to say? Oh yeah, I was watching with my mom, and you know how they were saying like it was really hot and you can smell the body. And my mom was like, "Yeah, that was actually like a true thing of his funeral. It was the hottest day of the year."
She went.
No, but she was saying like she can recall like when it happened. Like,
okay.
You know, she said it was the hottest day of the year in that area, and it was kind of like making the body like
decay.
Decay faster. So I thought that was, you know, a nice realist touch.
I didn't get to think that the two freaky girls from the book, that didn't make sense to me. It still doesn't.
Okay, in what way?
Like what was their purpose of following her around?
So, she was cursed. I don't know why her curse took the form of those two girls.
Okay.
So let's see how Lovecraft Country uses Topsy and Bopsy to address. Oh, never mind. This is not what I wanted. Anyway, Topsy and Bopsy. That's their real historical context. They were characters that kind of came out of Uncle Tom's Cabin. Basically, people's like racist reiterations of Uncle Tom's Cabin. And they were often portrayed as back in the day as like really dark with unkempt hair.
Oh yeah. That I get.
I don't know, but I don't understand why, like you said, her curse resonated with that either. I don't know.
Yeah,
I guess a copy of Uncle Tom's Cabin fell off the bookshelf when Diana was hiding in the bathroom, and I don't know if at that moment maybe the curse chose something to zero in on, but I don't really know. Like I don't know why it happened really.
Yeah, so that was the only part of the episode that I was confused by, because I didn't understand why that was happening. Like, what was the significance of these two creatures following her around, driving her crazy? Or maybe it didn't serve any other function other than giving her something to run from, because they kind of acted as kind of this force that was always pushing her to move, so she couldn't stop too long. Otherwise, it would catch up to her, and so it led to her following these officers to where they were. On her bicycle, getting caught eventually, thanks to the useless guy. What's his name? Montrose.
Oh, Montrose.
Yeah, just inadvertently caused the girl to get cursed finally, because he stops her from fighting off with the bat. But yeah,
I was trying to look up like why, like the significance of having Topsy and Bopsy.
Anything came up?
Not really. Oh my god, I hate looking at their pictures though. It gives me
definitely creepy.
Then I see it when I'm trying to go to sleep.
The song that kept playing.
Yeah,
that was creepy. Yeah,
Jordan Peele is really, really good at making songs really creepy. Yeah. I was gonna ask you. I'll save that for later. Anyway, nothing is really coming up I don't want to like take too much time to actually read through the article.
While she reads, yeah, maybe that was my least favorite episode, Jigaboo.
Because it scared you. Oh my god.
Nah, I just really, other than me being disgusted by that sex scene, nothing else in that episode really moved me.
Yeah. It was just a creepy episode. It was the first episode that I was actually like scared of what I was watching. Just because that was scary. What did you think of? I guess we've been like at an hour now, right? So we should probably like. So the last episode, what did you think of the season finale?
All right, so I'm mad that Tick's dead. I don't think he's really dead though.
I don't think he's really dead either.
I think now here's the thing: this show is going to be in dangerous territory in season 2.
Yeah, I thought that this was going to be a limited series. I don't really know if they're planning on making a season 2. I just think the show is a bit much to kind of go into like a second season.
Here's the thing, Shannon. They shouldn't do a season 2.
They shouldn't.
They should not do it.
Should do a season 2 of is Watchmen, and they're not. But they definitely should not do a season 2 of this. But you see,
they should not do a season 2 of Lovecraft Country. If they were smart,
they should.
They probably will because of the money. And that's why I'm saying if they do a season 2, they run the risk of making this show corny because there's too much to answer for or to do in a second season.
Yeah.
Because, and shows always do this. When you introduce the concept of time travel and multiverse, you run the risk of making your show corny, right? Yeah. I felt the same way with The Flash when they started doing the multiverse time travel thing.
Yeah.
It is very hard to make a show as entertaining once you introduce those concepts because you are going to be convinced to play around with them too much. And so like you said, with Brianna, it's Brianna. I'm thinking of 101. With Diana being the one who pushes Tick back with a bionic arm, that could mean anything.
Yeah.
Also, we saw images of him teaching her about that black creature thing.
Yeah, the Shogun. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, we saw a whole bunch of little flashes, going on. Being forced to answer that or to play those out in season 2, I think it's too much to ask. They should leave it at one season. Bam, you got it. Let people speculate. Let people talk. Let people do their thing. But I was mad Tick died, if he is dead. Also, I knew they were going to use Gia because why bring her back if she was just going to stand around and watch?
Yeah.
But that felt kind of like plot armor to me.
Yeah, I thought so too. And a lot of other people think so as well, being that she really had nothing to do with the rest of the show.
Yeah.
For her to now be like this big part.
Oh, because I can use my nine-tail to touch Tick and touch this white woman. And then you can use your I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna get some pushback. The show did not end strong.
No, I didn't think the show ended strongly either. I was kind of disappointed by it. I was talking to one of my friends earlier today, and he was like, "I thought it was really good." I like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, too many. I was like, nothing. When you think about a series finale, you think about like something big, something shocking happening. To me, I mean, everything happened that they thought was gonna happen. Like everyone thought Tick was gonna die, and he ended up dying. Like nothing crazy happened. It just happened the way that they've been talking about it.
There's a season 2, because then
I'm just viewing the show right now as a limited series, which is what it should be. But whatever. So the only crazy part was at the end, Diana, which was not really even crazy. It was a little confusing until you put everything together. But I still thought that that part was a little weird because I didn't really understand it.
It was they did it because they could do it, and the only logical so they wanted to end on Christina getting what was coming to her.
Yes.
The only way to get there was to use Jiha and her Nine-Tails powers. Mm-hmm. That's the only reason why they roll her back into the show. Because if you think about it, she comes back because she loves Tick. Tick is a dick to her when she goes to the house, kicks her to like a hotel. We don't see her again until like 2-3 episodes later.
Yep.
And the only reason why they introduced her again was because they needed her to do what she did at the end. But it played no significance. Right? Yeah. If we're being real, Christina should have won that. The moment that she caught Ruby, it's game over.
Yeah.
In real life, they kind of broke their own rule. they did what Game of Thrones did towards like their later seasons, where they just begin to write stuff to get to the conclusion instead of following the rules to get there.
Yeah.
So I don't like the ending that much, as far as, but it is hard to end the show. Even a season, it's hard to get a good ending that satisfies your audience, especially when you're dealing with so many concepts like they were dealing with. It's kind of, it's hard to get that focus on a single point. But if I was writing the show, it would have ended with Tick dying, Christina achieves her immortality.
Yeah.
And probably the rest of them die too.
I mean, I agree with you. I definitely it definitely was not as good as some of the other episodes that they had put out early in the past episodes. I thought it wasn't as good. I do like the one part where they took magic away from all white people and basically returned it to.
But did you though? Because to me,
I did. I mean, I'm just saying I did like that one part. I still didn't like the episode that much.
But just let's focus on that, because I forgot about that, where she took the powers away from all these crackers.
I thought it was a little too easy, if you know what I mean. That makes
sense. It was convenient. First of all, Christina, I believe Christina would have put the protective curse back on light skin mama. What's her name?
Leti.
Leti.
Oh my God.
So that made sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
When she woke back up and she pulled her shirt up and she saw that the mark of Cain was there, it's because Christina put it back on her.
Yeah.
I believe Christina would have done that because I believe she actually did care for
Ruby.
I believe that. So that makes logical sense from her characters, from the character perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But no way she would have been dumb enough to not constrain her in some type of way. You don't put a invulnerable spell on somebody, throw them off a clock tower, and then walk away.
Yeah.
No one put the spell on them.
Yeah.
No way she makes that rookie mistake. No way.
True.
So that's what I mean when I say they wrote this thing to be extremely convenient. But back to the specific point about taking the power away from all of these crackers. Question: does that make you the racist now? Here's what I mean. All white people ain't your enemy. Matter of fact, most of them probably aren't. Now you can say,
well, that could be argued back in that time.
No, I'm speaking about that time.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know how many white people at that time hated black people. If I had to guess, a bunch of them didn't even have interactions with black people.
Mm-hmm.
But does it make you the racist that you took this magic away from like 80% of the population just because the white people that you knew were problematic? Does that make you the racist now?
Well, I don't know if all white people had magical abilities. It was probably just the people that were affiliated with the House of Adam, whatever it was called, which what we have come to see are a bunch of crazy racist white people.
Yes.
So
I'm just going on what she said. She said we took it away from all of you white people.
Yeah, but I don't think that all white people had access to magic. I just think that those select people that were part of that cult basically had it. So yeah, I can understand.
So maybe I just hate that line, probably.
Yeah, I think you just hate the line.
I was like, okay.
I think you hate the line. And like you were saying earlier, I was going to get back to this point. I think Diana killed Christina. She said they never learn. So I think earlier, was it in that episode earlier? Yeah, it was earlier in that episode. Yeah, it was earlier in the episode where she was scribbling out the newspaper article about about how the jury acquitted the people that murdered Emmett Till. Did you catch that?
Yes.
So I was guessing that she was just harboring an overall generalized anger towards white people at the time, which is probably why she just killed her, I think.
Crush her throat?
Yeah, I think so. She's probably just angry.
I'm with you. It was just strange because I was trying to figure out what was the correlation between Christina and
I don't think it had anything to do with Christina specifically. I just think it had something to do with, what she represents, which
why makes sense.
That's why she said they never learned, like, they being white people.
They don't. And I will say this. Now, if they did make the mistake and did a season 2, I would not mind it being told from the perspective of her like what she is going through, and her
Mm-hmm.
being her being like season two's Tick, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. I
Uh,
agree.
that I would enjoy, but
Mm-hmm.
please don't do the thing where Tick's not really dead, or you go to like another Earth another time, and oh god, no, don't do that. I'm just saying, don't do that. Don't make them. So many shows make that mistake. Don't be one of them.
Don't be one of them, Jabia says. Um, what else was I going to? Oh, yes. So I just want to send a message out there to white people watching, not to white people, but I was just wondering, I was just thinking in my mind, like all this stuff that is happening, like all the historical stuff, this is stuff that really happened. This is what white people did to black people back in the day. So I was just really wondering and thinking about all of the atrocities that they're responsible for. And I'm thinking about how like the large majority of our government don't want to like acknowledge any sort of like people throw this talk about reparations out there and like people don't want to acknowledge that. But I'm just sitting back and like thinking like, do you think that you've made it? Like, do you think like white people as a whole, do they think that like they've made up for all the atrocities that they've committed towards black people? Like in today's time, like, do they think that like all is, I mean, for the most part, we've moved on and stuff, but do you think that you've made up for that? When you think about like the talks of reparations for black people and stuff like that, and then you watch something like this where you see everything that they've done.
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering the other day.
So here's the thing, and this was actually a theme in I think episode 2 of Lovecraft Country, where Christina talks about wanting to be a part of the order, and because she was a woman she couldn't be, and should white people be responsible for the sins of their forefathers, right? Like, I think I hear what you're saying, Shannon, but I do think you have to be careful when you begin to walk down the path of making people responsible for.
I mean, I understand that too. It was just a thought that was.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, because if I was a white person, my response would be, I have committed no wrong against you. I haven't. And you're holding me responsible for behavior that I find abhorrent of people who, I mean, the only correlation that we have would be our skin color. And that would be kind of unfair. Holding me accountable for something that some white person did, 30, 40, 50 years ago. Then also, on the added benefit, Shannon, I mean, we are African Americans, and so our great atrocity is the history, the legacy of Jim Crow and slavery and et cetera. But I mean, if you go back far enough, the story of humanity is human beings doing despicable things to humans. I mean, people forget that white people didn't go into Africa to get slaves. Africans enslaved Africans and sold them to Caucasians. That's what happens. You had many Native American tribes before the Europeans got there. They would slaughter each other.
Yeah.
And so I understand your point about watching this show as a white person. Here's where I will agree with you. You don't get to close your eyes. You don't get to pretend like these things didn't happen, because I may have some disagreements about the severity of racism in America today. But, I'm sure, Shannon, you think there's more racism than I do. I'm sure you believe that there's more systemic racism than I do. But where we agree, black people today are in certain positions because of opportunities they were pushed out of back then. Especially when you're talking about, I mean, bank loans and housing. As far as you weren't even allowed to live in certain places, and so your house couldn't appreciate value. Like, those were real world things that happen that affect people today because of policies and things that happened 30, 40, 50 years ago. And so you don't get to close your eyes to that reality. That I will 100% agree with you on. Yeah. You don't get to close your eyes and pretend like, oh my God, the world's not racist, so let's move on. No, we have to look and examine if there are places where things need to be engineered, so to speak, to allow the descendants of people to have access to certain rooms and areas that they did not have access to, because of y'all.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we agree on that statement.
Wow, very well put, Jabia. That's why you're called the cruel philosopher.
Yeah, because then my next thing I'm like, but you black people keep killing each other.
Yes, I know. Okay, and really, but yeah, I just don't want to see all the historical meaning kind of get stretched thin if they try to make a second season. So I really hope
But
that
it
they
will, you know it will.
Yeah, I know, which is what I don't think people are thinking about that now. I think they just want to know immediately what happens after, but they're not thinking about a season as a whole. I don't think it'll be as good. But anyway, I could be wrong. I was gonna ask, how do you think this show holds up to Jordan Peele's other stuff?
So here's my issue with Jordan Peele.
Oh God.
I'm just saying he likes this whole black trauma,
Mm-hmm.
psychological thriller stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Get Out was an interesting movie. I think maybe it got overhyped by the time I saw it.
Yeah, probably.
Like I didn't have the experience of watching it with like a fresh mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I would have been, overwhelmed. Us, I thought was very, very interesting.
Yeah,
very interesting. I saw that in theaters. Interesting. Jordan Peele, he's biracial, right? Or is he the black? Is he the black guy married to a white woman?
I think he has I think he's married to a white woman. Yes.
Yeah,
he definitely is.
Yeah. People like that, I do think, have this tendency to kind of lean into their blackness so they don't feel guilty when they go home at night.
Okay.
And so because this is a genre for him, like this black horror thing, he likes it.
Mm-hmm.
This is put like this Lovecraft Country. I like the most out of his stuff.
Yeah.
I wasn't really too, amazed by Get Out. I enjoyed Us, but it's not. I'm not gonna watch it again, right? Lovecraft Country has some rewatch value.
It does. Like I'm gonna rewatch it, but Us. I think I've actually seen it again a couple times, but like on TV in passing. Like I didn't like sit down and put it on. Same thing for Get Out. Like I'll watch it if it's on TV, but I'm not gonna like seek it out. But
isn't he the person doing the exact opposite of his characters? Like Get Out, right? The premise of Get Out, you got this black dude married to this white woman. No, not married. He's dating this white girl. Mm-hmm. She takes him to meet her parents. And then he realized that he's like a long list of black dudes that they do this to. Mm-hmm. Isn't that Jordan Peele? I'm saying, isn't he the black dude who's with the white woman?
Like in real life?
Yeah.
I guess.
So I'm saying, what was the message of Get Out?
That's a good point. I don't know what the message of Get Out was. It was. Like, I mean, I don't think that there was a message in Get Out. I just think
there was.
I mean, yeah, but I don't think that. What do you think it was then?
To me, it was about the bigotry of the white liberal. Mm-hmm. Right? Remember that in the movie, you had the white father who he made it a point to say, "Oh no, I voted for Obama twice." You had that going on. They were dating black people. Remember, the guy where he takes the picture of him and he loses his shit.
Yeah.
And that girl, he thought she was in love with him.
Yeah.
he had no idea to expect that he was one of a bunch of these black dudes. In fact, doesn't the movie end with her sitting on like the bed, swiping through? It doesn't end that way.
No, she dies at the end.
But there's a part in the movie where
there's a part in the movie where she's swiping through, to find.
Look at you like college athletes.
Yeah.
Right, and so part of the message is I thought was like, all these white people are racist. The bigotry of white liberals, they just hide it better. Don't assume that these white women that y'all date like you. They like your accomplishments. You're a trophy for them. Mm-hmm. And so my thing is for Jordan Peele, it feels like sometimes he's writing to alleviate himself of the guilt of being with a white person. Now, I don't think you should feel guilty if you end up with a white person. I don't feel that way. But a lot of these dudes that end up, being these writers or producers, and they write this super pro-black stuff, when you look into their lives, you find sometimes, more often than not, that they are with white people. I just think it's a very interesting thing to note.
I wonder how she feels about all his work. Like, does she get uncomfortable when she watches his movies? Because I would.
Shannon, white women don't get uncomfortable. Let me tell you what white women do. I'm serious. What did you see Bill Burr's Saturday Night Live monologue about white chicks?
I don't think so.
All right, so he pretty much talks about how white women co-opt movements all the time and they make everything about themselves, which they do. I've been saying for a long time that white women are the real enemy. I've been saying that for years. Before anyone has been saying it, I've been saying they are the real enemy. Mm-hmm. They don't get uncomfortable with so she's not uncomfortable by any of Jordan Peele's stuff because she knows that it is not a threat to her. Nothing. Nobody is honest about a white chick, Shannon. I don't know why. It's like they have this protective thing over them. We don't even give them any smoke for slavery. Like we talk about the white man all the time.
Yeah,
every white man came out of a white vagina.
It's true.
So you thought that the white women all that time were appalled by the behaviors of their fathers and sons? No, they were active participants in what was going on. And so his wife doesn't get nervous or upset. She views it as, how they do, clap on the social commentary. Yeah, this is important work that needs to take place. But yeah, she doesn't feel the type of way. She goes to sleep at night just fine.
I'm sure you're right about that, Jabia. I have no arguments.
I'm just saying, part of it when I'm honest with y'all, my people, I ain't want no white women. There's no guilt here. So.
Wait, what'd you say? You said what?
I'm saying part of the reason why I'm so honest with my people is because I'm not with no white women. I don't have no guilt about what I'm doing in my life, so I can be honest with y'all. You understand?
Okay. So overall, before we end, Lovecraft Country, 1 out of 10.
All right, this is hard for me. Episode 1 was an 8. Episode 2 was a 7. Episode 3.
Okay, you don't have to rate each one. What's your overall?
I'm trying to get an average. I'm trying to get.
Okay.
All right, now, the trans sex scene episode, I give that a 4. Didn't like
because
that episode.
You were horrified by the transformation process.
No, it's because other than that, Shannon, the episode. Other than that, what's the episode really about?
Right. Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
No, but you specifically were focusing on the trans sex. So it made it seem like you had a problem with that. Yeah, you mean that episode as a whole?
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Being as honest as I can be, if I was to give this show a grade, I would give it a 7 out of 10.
I was going to give it a 7 out of 10 too. I think that's fair.
Yes, 7 out of 10. Anything at 8 and above, I would rewatch a lot. This, I'll probably rewatch it, maybe certain episodes to see my.
This is not really a show that you rewatch like on a constant. This is
this is a one watcher. It's kind of like, well, no, forget that's bad comparison, but it's it's an interesting show that you watch one time and you have a lot of conversations about it with your friends, and it doesn't mean that it's not great. I think too often when we judge things that are great or not, we judge it if we can. Does it have replay value? Does it have rewatch value? Some things don't have rewatch value and are incredible. Avatar, I thought it was an incredible movie. Have never watched it a second.
Avatar.
Yes, not the show.
I've never seen that movie again. I only saw it once in the theater.
I loved it the first time I saw it. Have not seen it again. Will not ever watch it again, probably. But I thought it was like a dope movie. I liked the meaning behind everything going on and loved it.
Yeah,
never
it was good. Again. I won't watch it again either.
What's your grade?
Oh,
you said 7 out of 10.
Yeah, 7. I think that is for the same reasons. It was really good. I mean, I don't think that I've seen any show that I would give a 10 out of 10 to.
Game of Thrones was close before those last couple of seasons.
Oh my God. It was close. We don't have to talk about that. That was like, wow. They threw it away because they were focusing on Star Wars, which they're not even doing anymore. So
I don't think that was why they threw it away. They threw it away, Shannon, because they just got tired of doing that show.
I know.
And their egos wouldn't allow them to hand it off to somebody else. Because that's the thing. You could get tired of a show and give it to another showrunner. But they didn't want to do that. Because the egos.
So they ruined it. That's terrible.
Yeah.
But it It was really ruined though, because now I won't even tell people to watch Game of Thrones if they've never seen the show ever. Like I'll be like, just don't watch it. Like the ending is not worth it.
It is for me.
The ending is not worth it.
Here's what happened to me. George, because George has to get some of the smoke as well.
Oh, of course.
When they started the show, I think 2 of the books were out, right?
I don't know, because I didn't watch this. I didn't start watching Game of Thrones until like season 4.
Me too. But I'm saying the show was based off of the books, and so they had a roadmap that they were following. Mm-hmm. Then it was also rumored that they were led to believe that George R. Martin would have come out with the next book before the end of the show. Yeah. People forget Game of Thrones was on TV for like 7-8 years. Mm-hmm. That did not happen though, Shannon. Nope. So in defense of them, they did not sign up to create an original show. Mm-hmm. They signed up to make a show based off of a book.
Oh yeah, I definitely blame George for a large part of it. Book isn't done. It's not going to be done. When is it coming out? Never. I don't know.
Not only that, he might get corona. And here's the thing, because I've been thinking about this. No, seriously, I've been thinking about this. How old is George? He got to be like what, 70, 80?
He's old. I've had the thought that he probably won't live before then, so long enough for him.
What I'm saying?
I've had that thought. I have.
And I think he gave the Game of Thrones showrunners probably like Spark Notes. Remember Spark Notes from high school?
Yeah.
So I think he probably gave them like bullet points of like what he thinks his ending is going to be and like significant stuff. So the ending I think is what he was going to write, but probably a lot more eloquently leading up to the ending. Because if the show ends, which I said I said always that Daenerys had to turn because she was an annoyingly good character. Mm-hmm. She was just too moral.
I mean, I would have gotten behind. I don't know how we got onto talking about Game of Thrones, but I would have been on board with her turning if they would have built it up
the right way. They didn't do it the right way.
Not build it up right at all.
Totally agree. It was the rushness that ruined the show. Mm-hmm. The ending points, I kind of called it. I said Daenerys is eventually going to turn on y'all because she's doing crazy stuff now. You just agree with, her mission. So you look past her burning people for no reason, and she was always off tilt. Daenerys, Bran being the king of Westeros, Shannon, that's some wicked shit. If he actually could see the future, which they never confirmed nor denied, that would mean he purposely did everything.
Yeah,
knowing it would eventually lead it. That's some evil. That's wicked. Yeah. that's wicked. No one talked about how wicked that was in any of the podcasts I listened to after that show came out. So that was another thing. Really, Jamie goes to his whore of a sister and runs into her arms to be killed under the debris instead of staying with Brienne.
Yeah,
I'm like, yo, maybe that's why George didn't finish the books. He probably saw the reaction. He's like, oh, maybe I want to change.
And that's a lot. And that, honestly, maybe. And honestly, if I were him, I would if the show already beat me to the punch, I don't even want to finish. I have less motivation now to finish my book. You know what I mean? Even though it's his fault that they got that far in the first place because he just didn't finish it. But after the show came out, I definitely would have lost a lot of motivation to finish.
Yeah, I'm mad at you, George, but this is not about George. I don't know how we got on this topic, but we're talking about HBO. Disappointing. One last thought, seriously. HBO, they do deserve a round of applause. They I don't know how they do it because this show had to have been pitched to a bunch of people, but HBO keeps landing like these life-changing shows. Yeah. People forget Game of Thrones, The Wire. Mm-hmm. Which is insane, Shannon, that you haven't watched The Wire. Now,
I know.
Before people judge Shannon, I've only watched a season and a half, but it's more than you have. It's more than you have. But yeah, Game of Thrones, The Wire. They also gave you all of the early Chris Rock specials, the big ones. Bring the Pain, Kill the Messenger. They gave you those. They also gave you, I don't know if you watch Rome, but it's one of my favorite shows. on HBO.
I didn't watch that.
Rome. Mm-hmm. Yeah, HBO. The execs there historically have done a phenomenal job at getting the shows that.
Watchmen was also
Watchmen.
phenomenal.
I forgot Watchmen. Yeah. Watchmen.
I was waiting for you to say it, but.
And these are some weird shows. Like, if someone came to you with a script for Watchmen, you might look at it like,
oh my God, Watchmen was so weird. I don't know what was weirder. Was Lovecraft Country weirder or was Watchmen weirder? Which was the weirder show?
I didn't finish Watchmen.
You didn't finish Watchmen?
Not because it wasn't good. It was one of those things where I missed one episode and then it kind of like piled up on me.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna watch it. But I was enjoying Watchmen a lot. I know.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Watchmen. I like how they flipped everything. Like, Watchmen got me from day one. I mean, from the episode, the first episode, from like the first scene where you had the black cop, you had the white racist dude being pulled over, and then he had to call Panda in order for him to get clearance.
Yeah.
To use his weapon. I thought it was an interesting concept. You know, the cops were like maskless to protect themselves. It was a wicked show. But yeah, HBO it does a good job in finding these shows that just need big budgets behind them to make the magic pop, and it pops, man. Lovecraft Country. One thing we didn't talk about that just last thought, dude. The graphics were pretty amazing. The
graphics were great, yeah.
And shows suffer from corny graphics all the time.
Yes
I can't watch Lord of the Rings no more. I can't watch it. You can tell it's just this is bad CGI. It's bad. Harry Potter CGI, though, it still works for me. I just watched Harry Potter the other day. Still feels magical.
Yeah, well, Harry Potter had great graphics.
Yeah, but I'm saying you would think that. Look, I didn't think Lord of the Rings' graphics were aged as badly as it did.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Those are bad. But yeah, Lovecraft Country, great soundtrack, great graphics. I like how they mix the old music in the show with like random hip hop from like last year.
Yeah.
So it's pretty dope. So kudos to HBO. Kudos to HBO for having the guts, because some other companies are they just don't have the balls to light screen this stuff.
Yeah.
They don't run away from shows that have the potential to be controversial.
Yeah.
And that's why I appreciate them, because a lot of people are running away from stuff that is heavy into like racial politics and things of that nature. HBO doesn't run away, and for that they should be commended. Sure, they make a bunch of money, but still, for them having the balls to greenlight these shows, a salute to them.
Yeah, HBO makes phenomenal content, which is why they charge so much for their streaming service. I think it's worth it, though. No
way Netflix could ever get me to pay $15 for my monthly subscription. But HBO, they can have my money.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. So I think that's the end of this discussion.
I think so. I think
so. This was pretty good.
It was. And we got very off topic towards the end, so it's definitely
we did
that we're done.
We did. Though I will say this, I am an avid TV watcher.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think about this stuff all the time. So I'm not shocked that the podcast was as good as it was. I'm shocked that I remembered as much from the show as I did.
Oh, got it. Okay.
That's what I'm shocked at.
Well, you just watched it.
Still, Shannon. Like, think about this. I called Ruby Big Mama for like the first.
True. You didn't remember anybody's name. You're just bad with names. You're just bad with names. It's fine.
Yes. So I'm proud of myself. I look, enjoyed the show. If you haven't seen it, you should absolutely watch it. It's worth the watch. I'm looking forward to listening to all of the weird podcasts surrounding the shows, but I always do that after the show is done, because I don't like hearing people's theories, because people be lying sometimes about their theories. They know stuff. I'm serious. And with Game of Thrones, it happened a lot with me. I could tell when somebody was like reading the books. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
So yeah. Any last words, Shannon?
No. Hopefully you did see the show before you sat here and listened to this.
Yeah, we didn't give a trick. Yeah.
I guess put a spoiler. Spoiler alert. And you talk about me not giving spoiler alerts on my other podcast. You didn't give one here either.
No. If you see this title, it's gonna say Lovecraft Country Review. In parentheses, spoiler alert.
Okay, good
all
enough.
Right? Yes,
good enough.
But you should all watch it.
All right, cool. So I'm good.
All right, so we will see you guys on Friday.
Yes, on Friday.
Yes. All right. So deuces.
Bye.